What's up, VC? Well, I'm back. Like I said, never say never. I don't know if anybody saw my last video at the end of 2018. I said I was taking a break or even stopping altogether, but I also said, you know, I probably would be back at some point. I didn't really think it'd be this quick. It's only been about 2 months or so. Um, But I had some time today. I've gotten a few things over the last couple months that I really liked. I figured we'd talk about. I'll do a real quick through. I have a bunch of stuff here, some comics, some movies, some CDs, and LPs. Quite a few LPs. So this will probably be. I'm going to try and go as fast as I can. Without just blowing over stuff. But first up, I'm reading a couple books right now. The first one is called The Horror Comic Books the Government Didn't Want You to Read by Jim Trombetta. Um, Basically, it's the story of the 1950s horror comic um, craze, I guess you could call it. But a lot of killer horror comics came out of the 50s. And the government decided to step in after a while and pretty much try and put an end to them. I guess for the time they were a little too, I don't know, I wouldn't say gory, but scary maybe. I don't know for kids, but really killer book. I mean, it has a ton of artwork in here from all the different covers, and also has some stories from the mid 50s about them trying to get rid of the horror comics, and I believe that's when the actual comic code started. Was back in the late 1950s, maybe. This came with a DVD, which I haven't watched yet. Um, but I guess it's like, from what I understand, it's like a document from the 50s, from the lost a production of KTTV in Los Angeles from 1955. It's about a 25-minute documentary about the horror craze from the 50s, horror comic craze, but really killer book. I've been trying to find some of the titles in here. Obviously, they're way expensive, so. But if you're into horror comics, old horror comics, I would suggest this book. Really killer. I'm also reading Agent of Evolution, this Bill Hicks story. If you don't know who Bill Hicks is, stop watching this video, and all his specials are on. Well, most of his specials are on Netflix. He was a comedian in the 80s, early 90s. Passed away from prostate cancer in '93, I think it was. But this is a story that his best friend had written about him and their time together. Really killer book. A lot of killer pictures. I was always a huge fan of Bill Hicks. Um, I actually got to meet him by accident in 1990, I think it was, down on South Street in Philadelphia. Um, we just happened to be down there for a show at the TLA concert. And a buddy of mine and I walked past the local comedy club down there and saw his name on the marquee out front, and we went in, and there he was sitting at the bar. So I got to talk with him. Really cool dude, nice guy, great comedian, um, a real comedian. He talked about real life stuff. So definitely check out this book, Agent of Evolution, the Bill Hicks story. Love Bill Hicks. So a couple other comics I picked up. The latest issue of Haunted Horror, number 35. 36 was supposed to be out in the fall, but it never came out. So I don't know if this is done. But I have every issue of this. Yeah, it says this came out in June 2018, and it says September 2018 for issue 36 right there, but never came out. It basically reprints the horror comics from the 50s. This is on IDW Publishing. Killer, reprint of the old 50s horror. So there's that one. And a couple new things. I don't pick up really new comics anymore, but I guess they had a reissue series of The Walking Dead. So I picked up issue 1 again, but it has a little bit of a different cover. Rick standing in front of a comic book store, which I thought is kind of cool. That's a reprint of that one. I don't know if you can see, but Captain America shield's in there, and I have a few issues of #1 reprints, and I have an original as well, so pick that one up. It's only $2, $2.99. And then this one's a one-off from Marvel, Crypt of Shadows, new horror series, or a new horror comic, but from what I understand, they're only doing this one issue, so pretty cool. Ended up picking up some issues of Creepy I didn't have, from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Picked up issue 22. Like I said, I try to get these like $6 to $7 or cheaper. I'm not paying, a mint copy of them or anything like that. I like to read them, so it doesn't really matter the condition as long as they're not beat to shit. But so there's 22, issue 37, which I haven't read these yet. I just picked these up. Issue 43 and issue 39. So I'm trying to, like I said, get them all at some point. I doubt if I ever will. There's 140 some issues of it, but I put a pretty good dent in them over the years. So on to a couple movies that I picked up. Obviously the new Halloween. I didn't get the Steelbook at Best Buy or anything like that. I just went for this. I liked the movie. It was good. It wasn't. I don't think it was the best it could have been, but I thought it was a nice addition to the series. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis and is back. But really liked the. I liked it. It just wasn't wasn't perfect. A few things I would have done differently, but it was a fun movie nonetheless. So I picked that up. And I also found a copy, which I think they're out of print now. But I got a copy for less than $20, and that's the Steelbook of Halloween 2 from Scream Factory with the new artwork and everything. I hate buying stuff over and over again, but I thought the artwork on this was just really killer. And for under 20, I figured, why not? In the back, I don't know if you'll be able to see her, but Jamie Lee Curtis or Laurie Strode's hiding, kind of wraparound cover. But I love that image of Myers on fire there, pretty killer. But if you have the 2 discs Scream Factory, it's the same one, same same print and everything. But figured with that Steelbook, something like this I would pick up. Like I said, I think it's out of print now, but I'm not 100% sure. A few CDs I picked up over the last couple of months. Nothing major. I've been kind of, taking, just listening to stuff here and there that I already had. But I found this online, and it's a Frehley's Comet, the original sighting, it's called. It's a 4-disc set on Rocket Ride Records. Obviously, it's a bootleg. But it has all stuff from 84 and 85 on here when he first started doing stuff again after he left Kiss. So you have the SIR Studios, or SIR Studios in New York, November 30th, 1984. Scranton, PA, March 3rd, 85, and Lemore's in New York on March 8th, 1985, along with disc, whole disc full of original demo sessions from 84 and 85. But and it has the very first original Frehley's Comet logo on the cover. But a lot of the shows are probably upgrades from what I have. Some of the demo stuff sounds great. Some of it just sounds okay. But it was a cool package all in one shot, so I figured I'd grab this one. And it was pretty cheap. I think it was under 40 bucks or 30 bucks, something like that. But I saw this. I never saw it before. Obviously, when I found it, I knew it was a bootleg, but I was just hoping it wasn't CDRs. But they are pressed discs, so I guess they're still doing the CD bootlegs out there. But next up, I got a compilation called Ginge Knievel's Top of the Pops 2018. It's a punk, glam, power pop, and rock comp 2-disc set. All proceeds go to the Mental Health Matters in Wales in the UK. But it has bands like the Turbo ACs, the Hit Priests, who's an amazing band if you haven't heard the Hit Priest yet. Scumbag Millionaire, Black Bullets, Motherfucking Motherfuckers, Flash House is another killer new band. Dirty Truckers, Dead Vikings, Cheap Cassettes, which is another really cool power pop band. Just a ton of stuff on here. I forget who else was on here. Supersede. I listened to most of this. I can't, the track listing's not on the back, just the name of the band. But a really killer set, and I think it's out of print now. I think they sold out, but just look it up. Ginge Knievel's Top of the Pops 2018. I think they are doing another one. And if you are familiar with the Fistful of Rock and Roll series that Sal from the Electric Frankenstein was putting together back in the late 90s, early 2000s, he has started it again. Fistful More of Rock and Roll. Disc 1 is out. Volume 1 is out. I think Volume 2 is being pressed now. So I should have those at some point in the near future. Picked up the new Last in Line called 2, featuring ex-Dio members. I really like this one. I didn't like the first album, but I really like this record. It has Vivian Campbell, Vinny Appice, Phil Suzanne, or Sushin, whatever his name is, on bass, who was Ozzy's bass player, because Jimmy Barnes was in this band before. He passed away last year. But then it was produced by Jeff Pilson from Dokken. Yeah, Phil Suzanne. Did I say Jimmy's name right? Jimmy Barnes? Jimmy Bain? Wow, I'm drawing a brain fart right here. Yeah, Jimmy Bain, my bad. And vocalist on here is Andrew Freeman. But a really cool record. I thought it's on Frontier, but I like this album. I thought it was really good. Heavy in, some spots. Along with, melodic stuff. I think Dio fans will really like that one. Brand new Candlemass called The Door to Doom. Has the original vocalist that was on that Epicus record. He's back, which is pretty amazing. I think it's the first time he's been back in 30-some years. Johan Lundquist on vocals. They put an EP out about 6 months ago, maybe 6 to 8 months ago, with Mats Levin on vocals. Mats Levin was in Yngwie Malmsteen's band, among other things, back in the day. I guess things didn't work out with him. I don't know. But they got the original vocalist back, and I really like this record. If you like Sabbathy, sludgy kind of record, kind of bands, you'll like this. Obviously, if you like classic Candlemass, you'll like this. But I thought this was a really decent record. I might pick this up on vinyl at some point. And I also picked up the brand new Overkill record called The Wings of War. I really like this a lot. They never really disappoint me at all. I think the first single, well, the first video I saw of this was Last Man Standing, which when they announced the record, is they released a lyric video for it or something like that. But I think the brand new single is called Welcome to the Garden State, which is like heavy, fast, kind of punky thrash. Really cool. Also has Batshit Crazy, Believe in the Fight, Head of a Pin, Distortion, Mother's Prayer, Out on the Road, Kill, Soul in My Hole. Yeah, Soul in My Hole. Hole in My Soul. And then this one has the bonus track In Ashes. I guess the first pressing's going to have that bonus track. But it's on Nuclear Blast. I'll probably pick it up on vinyl at some point. I know it's expensive. I usually wait for the Overkill vinyl to drop a little bit before I pick them up. But also picked up the latest from Dan Baird and Homemade Sin called Screamer. Dan Baird from the Georgia Satellites also features Warner Hodges from Jason and the Scorchers. If you like Georgia Satellites, Jason and the Scorchers, a little heavier, a little more rock, I would definitely suggest this album. I really like this record a lot. It's on Jerk and Crocus Promotion, which I think is Dan's own label. I think Dan Baird's own label, but really cool. They put an album out every couple years, I think, but I think this one is on vinyl as well. So definitely check it out. I think it's a really good record. Obviously, you can hear all this stuff probably on YouTube, at least one or two tracks from each record. The last CD I have is the brand new 10th, or it's got to be the 15th anniversary of this record, which is unbelievable to me. I can't believe it, but and that is the Wild Heart self-titled record. It's a 2-disc set you get direct from the band, and a 3 LP set. I haven't ordered the 3 LP set because I have the original LP, the 2 LP set, but the 3 LP set has all the bonus stuff. I really don't need it. Plus, it was expensive. Now, if they do a reissue for the Chutzpah record, because that's 10 years old this year, I'll definitely pick that up on vinyl because they never released it on vinyl. And also, the new single's out. The new Wild Heart single, which there's a new album in May coming out, which I can't wait for. I thought the new single was amazing. Just a really, classic Wild Hearts, kind of the fuck era meets Chutzpah, I guess you could say. Or even like Fishing for Luckies in that era, if you know the Wild Hearts, you know what I'm talking about. But this one is a 2-disc digibook set, has all the lyrics in it, tons of pictures, a message from every member of the band, has the original album on disc 1, totally remastered, and disc 2 features all the unreleased stuff from these sessions, and the Japanese bonus tracks that weren't available anywhere else. So one of my favorite Wild Hearts tunes of all time is on disc 2. It's called Unbroken. I just love that tune. You also get Borderline. You get the original version of Zine Requiem, which ended up being on Chutzpah Jr., which was an EP released by the band after Chutzpah came out with six or seven other songs that they had recorded during that session that they didn't use for the album. So the Spencers Can Poke Out. O Bonita, which was, I think, the Japanese bonus track. Actually, I think O Bonita and So the Spencers was the Japanese bonus tracks for that record. And then you get a single version of The New Flesh and a single version of Inner City Overture. This was the album they did completely by themselves. No record label, no anything. Fantastic album. I can't believe it's 15 years old. That just blows my mind because it seems like it was just out just yesterday. Um, has the Revolution will be televised, which is another great Wild Hearts tune. The New Flesh, She's All That, Bipolar Baby, The Sweetest Song. Definitely check this out if you never heard the Wild Hearts. I don't know. I can't say anymore. They're one of my favorite bands. I look forward to the new record. The new album's out in May. Like I said, it's called The Renaissance Men. Um, Everybody asks me that doesn't know Wild Hearts material what they sound like. The early stuff, I remember reading a review of what got me hooked back in 1992 or 93 when the first EP came out. I read I read a piece in the Aquarian out of New York. That's how I got into them. And they said it was Motor. They said it was Motorhead meets Jan and Dean, which okay, but it's more Motorhead meets Cheap Trick. I can't say any more about these guys. The Wild Hearts, other than AC/DC, they're my next favorite band. Definitely check them out. Now on to some vinyl. I got some used stuff and some new stuff. I'll go through these fairly quickly. Picked up this that I never had on vinyl before, but I had it on CD, and it's Smack on You, Finnish glam band. This is the Brazilian pressing on Enigma. Always like this stuff. This is, for the time, this is like the Finnish version of Guns N' Roses back then. I mean, they were really big. Never really broke here in the States, but I remember hearing these guys 20 years ago, and I always liked it. So I saw this on vinyl for cheap, so I decided to pick that one up. Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK live. I still don't know if this is a bootleg or not. I guess it is. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't even listen to this yet, but anything like this weird, I always pick it up if it's cheap. This one was like under, I think, $12 or something like that. I think it was $10, but I traded in a bunch of stuff at a shop and they had it, so I used this as part of my credit. I picked this up. Like I said, I haven't listened to it yet, but there's the track listing. Pretty cool. The MC5 Thunder Express. This is on Dress to Kill from '96. Dress to Kill, I think, was a UK label. It has 8 songs: Kick Out the Jams, Empty Heart, Ramblin' Rose, Thunder Express, Rama Lama, Fa Fa Fa, Motor City is Burning, I Can Only Give You Everything, and I Just Don't Know. I think this is stuff that was recorded in 67, 68, something like that, before they were signed to Elektra. Oh, actually, no, it's 1972. It's definitely a different version to Kick Out the Jams, but pretty killer. I think they recently reissued this with a different cover and everything, but here in the States, but pretty cool. Picked up a couple new, not new, but used Beatles imports. First one is Hard Day's Night. This is the UK press. Probably a late 70s, early 80s reissue. This one, is this UK or was it? Yeah, UK. This is on Parlophone. It was like Dead Mint, so I picked that up. And with the Beatles, this is Australian, I believe. Yeah, the Australian pressing. Always loved that cover. Finally got a decent, almost mint copy of that, so picked this up. Big Beatles fan, especially the early, actually all their stuff. But I wanted to add these to the collection. I got a ton of Beatles stuff now, it's crazy. Now the new stuff. Picked up the soundtrack for Bohemian Rhapsody. Um, for the Live Aid stuff on here. Plus, I love the movie. I thought the movie was fantastic. I have yet to pick it up on Blu-ray, but I'm going this week to get it for sure. Um, I really like the movie a lot, so I figured this came into the shop, my shop, so I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna grab it for the collection. But thought it was a great movie. I know a lot of it, most of it is inaccurate as far as timeline goes. Like in the movie, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, but you know, in the movie, Freddie Mercury finds out he has HIV before Live Aid. That was not the case at all. Live Aid was in '85. He didn't die till '91. I think he found out in '90, something like that. So, I mean, they did change it up. There was really no need to change it up. And that's been the biggest criticism that I've heard of the film was the timing on some of the stuff was completely wrong. I just don't understand why they do it. I know it makes for a better story in the long run. Like he found out he had HIV. At that point, he wasn't even with the band, working with the band anymore. At the time of Live Aid, and they got this opportunity to play Live Aid. He found out he had HIV. He went back to them and to the rest of the guys, and kind of like they all got together to do it for him. And that's just not the case. But other than that, it's a great film. Just some of the, if you're a Queen fan, you already know this stuff, but you know some of the time line on it was not correct, but still a good film. I thought some funny bits in it that I really liked. I thought it was done well, and obviously he does that. What's his name? Rami Malek. He did a superb job as Freddie. Actually, the rest, all the guys that were in the band in the movie were really good. But he did a really good job as Freddie Mercury. Now that there's a few movies coming out. There's the Motley Crue, The Dirt. I saw the preview for that. Looks kind of goofy. I'll definitely check it out. And the Elton John movie's coming out too. So next up, Jet Boy, Burn to Fly. That's going to be the new thing. You're going to see a bunch of different movies of past rock and roll bands now. I guarantee it. Soon there'll be a Kiss one and an AC/DC one and all that shit. The Def Leppard one, if anybody remembers that from VH1, was so terrible, but it was fun. It was like one of those really terrible, great, bad movies. But next up, Jet Boy, Born to Fly, limited edition red vinyl on Frontiers. I love this record. I got this on CD as well. It's been how many years? I don't know. Shit, almost 30 years since their last album. Really? Their last album, New Material, anyway. I really like this record a lot. It's a great rock and roll album. I was surprised, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect from a new Jet Boy record. I didn't know if they were going to go and do like the early years like they did, in '86 and stuff, like the glam shit, or if they were going to do like the AC/DC style bar rock that they were doing in the early '90s, late '80s. But it's kind of like that. I really like this a lot. I thought this was a great record. Born to Fly, Beating the Odds is a great song. Old Dog New Tricks, Broken Hearted Daydreams, Smoky Ebony, Party Time, A Little Bit Easy, All Over Again. Really cool record. I would definitely suggest this one if you like Jet Boy. It's got, Fernie Rod, Billy Rowe, all the guys on here, so killer record. I just got this one in the mail yesterday. The Missile Studs. I think that's the Yeah, it's called Hey, We're the Missile Studs. Kind of like a Ramonesy type thing. Pretty cool record. Apparently, this is like one of 100 copies of this cover. the Kim Jong Un cover, because I think the other covers have dipshit Trump on the cover, but then you get this cut out mask inside, which is goofy. But if you like, it says here's your official missile studs face mask, cut out along the dotted line and start World War III with your pals. Like I said, it's got Kim Jong. This is there's the card. I think there's two other covers to it as well, but this is the rarest cover of all, apparently, allegedly. But if you like the Ramones, Sex Pistols, that kind of shit, definitely check them out. It's a funny cover. It was released in '18, but cool punk record. Picked up the Best of Rose Tattoo 2 LP on Repertoire out of the UK. Like I said, it's a 2 LP best of record. I didn't know anything about this till I saw somebody posted something about it on Facebook. So I found it pretty cheap, because I know some places it's really expensive, like $40. But I got it for, I think, 24. But it has, I think, all best ofs from their first 4 records, probably. They kind of lost me after Scarred for Life. I think Scarred for Life was the last. I didn't like Southern Stars. I didn't like that record, although I should revisit it. It's been years since I've heard it, but I was always a fan of the first album, Scarred for Life, and what was the third? Maybe Southern Stars was the third album. Shit, I can't remember at this point. It's been so long. This one's actually called Chiefs Free. This is a shirt, but angry shirt, but really killer. If you don't know who, if you've never heard Rose Tattoo, this is a great way to start out checking them out. And lastly, I picked up which I haven't done in a long time, a soundtrack record for the new Halloween. The only reason I picked it up is because it's John Carpenter and his song. And apparently this is like the super limited blood puddle vinyl. Looks more pink on camera than it does blood red, but pretty killer. Obviously it has the the theme, the Halloween theme. It comes with this insert too. I don't know if you'll be able, oh yeah, you can see it on, there's Laurie. But there's the insert goes behind the cutout, because it's cut out like his eye on the cover, but pretty killer. I have a lot of the Halloween reissued ones that came out over the last few years. Some of them I sold off. They just weren't good. Like I got the first movie double LP a few years back, and it was like, it was cool, but there was just like stuff from the dialogue in the movie in the middle of the songs, and it's just, I'd rather just hear the music. So this is the last thing I picked up new in a while, so it's pretty killer. It's a cool cover. So anyway, that is it for this update. Kind of all over the place. Like I said, it's cool to be back doing a video. I was so burnt out at the end of the year. I think it was just burnt out in general. I just didn't feel like doing videos at all. I didn't feel like doing anything after the holiday season. I'm pretty busy at that point in my life, so I think it was more of being burnt out altogether than just being burnt out of doing videos and that kind of stuff. So I I don't know how often I'll be back to do a video, but I'll do one here and there. I'm still working on a bunch of movie stuff that I, you know, have planned. Finishing off some writing. I started another short story, a horror-based short story. I got an idea about a short story after reading. Actually, one of the books I read, I don't have it here, but it was just a creepy little short story that gave me an idea for another story. That eventually, I'm going to post stuff online, and obviously, I'll let people know or send people links and all that kind of shit. So keep an eye out for that in the near future. Well, not so near future, but who knows? We'll be around at some point. But definitely check it out. Click that thumbs up button if you like this video. Probably feels like I'm all over the place because I haven't done a video in a while, so still kind of like trying to get back into it. But anyway, that is it. I don't want to take up too much time because it's already 36 minutes. But I'll talk to you all real soon, I hope. Let me know down below what you've been listening to or watching or reading or any of that kind of stuff. So I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you next time.